You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 78.
Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome. We're so excited to have you here today as we get into part 5 of our Avoid Teacher Burnout series. Today we're going to be talking about 10 self-care practices to be your best self in and out of the classroom. We're so excited to share this with you. But before we get started, we want to talk about today's sponsor that we are obsessed with, Free Label.
It's an ethical, sustainable brand made in Canada. Everything throughout the production is made in Canada. It's so good.
Made in small batches by very caring people. Jess and her partner are amazing. They're just such nice people. The kind of business that you just want to support and see grow. And we love watching them grow. They've been serving their community so well ever since they first started Free Label. People love their clothing, and there's no question why. It is comfortable, it is high quality, it lasts a long time, and it fits a variety of body types and sizes and really caters to a wide variety of humans.
And when you say that it lasts for a long time, like that is not an understatement. I am so impressed with clothes that I bought from Free Label years ago that still fit so well and look so good.
Yes. Their pieces also make having more of like a capsule wardrobe so easy because all their pieces work together really well. They're simple, but like elevated. Like they're,
Yes.
They're very simple, but make you look so put together and either professional or comfortable or cute. Really, you can kind of style their clothes in any way. So versatile.
So check them out.
Yeah.
At www.educalm.com/free label. And EduCalm is spelled EduCalme, and Free Label is spelled FREELABEL.
It's like a spelling test.
It is.
Or a spelling bee.
I had to think about that.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the show. I'm so excited to wrap up this series where we've been talking about habits, how habits are created. We've been talking about our thoughts, our emotions, our perspectives. And today we're going to really tie it all together with 10 self-care practices that you can integrate into your life in an easy way that are going to make you feel good and help you to avoid teacher burnout.
Yes. I was going to ask you to start, like, what really is self-care and why would it help with avoiding teacher burnout?
So self-care is really just the practice of caring for yourself on purpose to improve your health and wellness. So taking the actions to do things that make you feel good, because when you feel good, you do good. Right?
So true.
When you're feeling your best,
so true.
You are your best. And as teachers, we're in the classroom and we have to be on our A game every single day. That is so hard if we aren't balancing it with caring for ourselves. We can't always just be give. We have to fill our own tank, fill our own cup so that we have even more to give to others in a sustainable way that's going to last.
Yeah, we actually did like a tiny little research on why self-care is important, and like the list is endless. But amongst that list, the fact that it gives you lots of energy, you feel more effective, which is great in the teaching world. What else, Kaylee? I feel like we had a nice long list here.
It helps you like to create a positive relationship with yourself, right? When you're purposely caring for yourself, you're recognizing that you're a human that has needs and that you deserve to care for those needs and care for yourself, which is so important.
And that will help also with self-esteem and self-confidence.
Of course. If you're loving yourself, then you're really putting that best version of yourself forward.
That's a big part in in being our best selves in the classroom and to avoid the burnout.
Exactly. So another thing that I just want to touch on is that self-care looks different for everyone. So what we're going to talk about today is going to kind of guide you through a process as well of figuring out what is the right self-care practice and habit to create for yourself. You know, Josiane, you love running. I hate running. So for me, running generally isn't self-care, except for on the like once or twice a year that I am filled with emotion and like, oh, I need to do a really intense workout or exercise to like feel good, and I'll go for a run. But generally, that isn't my version of self-care. So it's so important to check in with yourself and don't do self-care to look good for others and baths with flowers. Like, if that's not your thing, don't do it.
It should feel good for you.
Yes.
And yeah, we're all different. And some people like baths will stress them out. Like, it's just not, it's not a thing for them. So don't do it if it isn't.
I used to so not be a bath person. I was like, I don't want to soak in my own filth. But then I started like putting essential oils in my bath and like lighting candles.
Oh,
and
you're
reading
giving
a
our
book.
10 things away.
Oh,
hang
whoops,
on.
Sorry.
Back it up. Okay, so let's talk about creating the habit of self-care.
All right. So as we're creating the habit of self-care, it's going to help so much to come back to this habit loop that we've been talking about in this entire 5-part series, which is the cue, the craving, the response, the reward. The cue, the craving, response, reward.
The cue, the craving, response, reward.
Making things into songs always makes it easier to remember. So the cue is the thing that makes us recognize that like something needs to change. So it's the thing that tells our brain, ooh, something's coming, or oh, I'm about to have to do something. It's the initiation of the habit. Now, once you have the cue, then next up is the craving. It's that wanting, that motivation to move from one state of being to another. Next is the response, and that's going to be the action that you take to move yourself from the state of being you're in to a different state of being. So that could be, a physical action that you take. Today we'll be talking about self-care practices, those actions, but it can be thoughts and feelings and perspectives.
All the things we talked about in this 5-part series.
Exactly. And then finally is the reward. So in the reward part of this habit loop, our brain is really looking for evidence of, was this something that was helpful for me or not? So it's going to decide, did it actually move me from the old state of being to a new state of being? And also, was the effort that it took to move me from one state of being to the other, was it worth the outcome? Right? So for me, for example, the effort it takes to go running compared to the feeling I get after the run, not worth it.
It's not coherent.
It's not. It's not. My brain's like, no, not worth it. But the effort that it takes for me to go for, I'd rather drive to a trail and go hiking. That seems like more effort to some people, but for me, the reward is worth it. So it's about figuring out what's going to work for you and kind of creating a system where the reward, the payoff is good enough or outweighs, I guess you could say, the effort that it takes to take your action, that response.
Okay, so take me through an example.
Okay. So when we're talking about self-care, we're really talking about refilling our cup, right? So how are we recharging? How are we taking time and doing things and thinking in ways that help us to recharge when our cup is starting to feel low or even empty? So let's take an example of when we're at school and it's recess time. Okay, so many options of what we can do during recess. Obviously, a lot of us are like, oh, I should get some more prep done. I should get these things
Corrections.
done.
Yeah.
But looking at this recess time as this is your break, this is your time to recharge and have that self-care that helps you to feel good. So say, for example, so it's recess time. You have the craving to press that reset button, to bring your energy back up, to kind of shake off whatever happened before recess so that you can, get back to your best self before your students come back into the classroom. So the cue, recess. The craving, reset button. Response now is like, what am I going to do now to reset? What is the action or the thought that I'm going to do? So then the reward is, how do you actually feel after? Did that action that you took actually make you feel more calm, balanced, and ready for your students to come back in? So what would be an example of something that you would do, Josiane, as your response? Like, what do you do as your reset during recess?
It's something I mentioned in last week's episode. One thing that I love to do to press the reset button for me is just grabbing a tea bag from my drawer, making my way to the staff room, turning on the hot water, and then just sitting in the staff room. If there's people there, I'll chat with them and I'll try to keep it light. Or if there's no one there, just patiently waiting for my hot water to be ready, and then walking back to my classroom. And generally the tea is too hot until after recess, but just the act of like, taking that time for myself and to actually pause, because forcing myself to wait for that water to boil and not like walking away, going to the office and doing a bunch of things, that's the reset button.
That is your little mindful moment of being in the moment and getting out of that. We get into such a state of feeling like we have to rush.
Yeah. Go.
Get this done. On to the next thing. Quick.
Yeah.
Get this done on time. So the fact that you're actually sitting there and forcing yourself to stand still until the water boils, such a good little moment of resetting and coming back to the moment and being mindful.
And also like checking in with myself, like, do I need to go to the bathroom right now? Do I need to like fill my water bottle? Like that stuff, because we all know that, when the kids are there, no time for that.
Exactly. Yeah. We have to train our body to only have human needs during the break.
My bladder is controlled by the bell.
Yeah, exactly. So then this sounds like a habit that you've really ingrained, which means that the reward you feel, the feeling of calm you get from doing that action
is worth it.
Yes. Right?
Absolutely.
So, if you're like, oh, okay, during recess, I'm going to go do a, 10-minute workout, and that feels too heavy, it feels like too much work, you're not going to stick to it. So it's so important when we're creating these habits of self-care during our little pockets of time that it's something that feels really good to us and is truly actually helping us to move from the state of overwhelm or busyness to the state of calm that we're looking for.
Yes. And I think it's important to talk about too, like when we're forming this habit, when we're deciding, okay, I want to include a little self-care practice into my day to feel more awesome, to be my best self. It's important that we start really small, like really small.
Yes. Because the second that your brain says, oh, this is too much work, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it.
You're not going to stick to it. It's not going to work out.
Exactly. So we talked about this in the first episode of this 5-part series. When it comes to creating habits, it has to be very small steps. So if you're starting to run, the beginning of creating that habit is just putting on your shoes. Like, don't even plan on going for a run. Just plan on getting in the habit of putting on your shoes.
Or for example, the tea thing. Mm-hmm. Do the tea, but then if you feel like you have a million things to do during recess, well, go put the hot water on and then go do your things and then come back to your hot water. Like, start that way. Mm-hmm. And maybe you move up to taking the full 5 minutes to let the water boil.
Exactly. So let's now talk about, we're going to recap the 4 laws of behavior change. And this came from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I found this super helpful when creating new habits to like not take on too much. Because I think most people, our big problem when creating positive self-care habits is that we try to go big right away. And we don't even realize that it's too big. So let's go through these to help us to figure out how to instill a positive self-care habit in our day. So step 1 of the habit loop is the cue. So the cue is what tells our brain, oh, now it's the time to start this habit. So when we're creating a new habit, we have to decide, what is that cue going to be?
Example, bell.
Exactly. So it also has to be obvious. So this is the law of how to make sure that this sticks. It's make it obvious. Make the cue, the starting point of this habit super obvious. So it can be the bell. When I'm creating new habits, I really like to set alarms on my phone so that I don't miss it.
That's a very clear, obvious
Yeah,
cue.
exactly. If you're, wanting to go for a walk at lunch and you're planning on changing your shoes, put those shoes somewhere where you're going to trip on them before you walk out the door so that you don't miss them, making it super, super
Or like
obvious.
even Post-its.
Yes.
Put a Post-it on your deck, on your desk, walk at noon or whatever.
Yeah. Or in your planner. I know for myself as a teacher, like I am following my planner check mark by check mark for each thing to make sure I don't forget anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually write in your planner what you're doing at lunch and you're committed to doing that thing, then you're more likely to stick to it because it's obvious. It's not something that it's literally just going to slip your mind because you haven't created the habit yet.
That's right.
So step 2 now in the habit loop is craving. So you have to have a craving, a motive, something that's motivating you to actually take an action. So the trick here is make it attractive. So make it something that you're excited to do. Something that you know that the benefit of it is going to outweigh the energy it takes to do it.
Example, the best tea ever. My most favorite flavor of tea.
David's tea, by the way. Always our go-to. So yeah, if the tea is delicious, you want it and also, like have it in a cute cup.
Yeah, a nice little mug.
Yeah.
Something that's fun to drink out of.
And also, like, this is the whole point of it, right? The whole point of having self-care is to feel good. So make sure that whatever actions you're planning are things that make you feel awesome. So the next part of the habit loop is response. So we have cue, craving, response. The response is the actual action that you take. And remembering that when we're creating a new habit, our brain is trying to conserve its energy. And making a new habit, we're actually changing our brain when we create new habits. And that's a lot of work. So we have to make sure that we're making our habit easy when we're first starting with it and then slowly making it harder and harder, but never to the point that our brain goes, I don't have time for this. I'm not going to do it. So say, for example, you want to start a mindfulness practice and you're going to do it at lunch before you eat your lunch. Okay. If you say, okay, I'm going to do a 30-minute mindfulness practice. And the second that the bell rings, that was your cue. The craving is, I want to feel relaxed. Response is, okay, time to meditate. And then your brain goes, I don't have time to do this for 30 minutes. Okay. I don't have 30 minutes, but do I have 20 minutes? And if your brain still says no, okay, do I have 10? Do I have 5? Do I have 1
Basically,
minute?
Start with under 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Probably even less than that.
Also another thing.
With anything.
Yes.
Like with anything that you start small, like miniature.
Yeah. And anytime that your brain says, no, I don't have time for this, like, don't allow your brain to tell you that. Say, well, I have time for 1 minute. You have to trick your brain or convince your brain that you can do a tiny bit of it and then build your way up. And then maybe you'll build your way up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then one day you're like, I don't have 20 minutes. Okay, I'm not going to meditate today. And it's like, well, okay, I don't have 20 minutes, but I can drop down to 5 minutes. Yeah, that's doable. So keeping in mind that there has to take minimal effort as you're first starting this habit. Now, the next step is reward. So we have cue, craving, response, reward. So it has to be rewarding. It has to be something that shows your brain that this is worth your time and energy. So the trick here is make it satisfying. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable. Make it feel good. If you're going for a walk, and maybe the walk itself isn't that exciting for you, how can you make the walk more exciting? Can you have an awesome playlist ready? Can you go with a friend that you really enjoy spending time with or a colleague that you really enjoy spending time with? What can you do to make the reward worth the effort?
Love it.
Awesome. So now that we know the cue, craving, response, reward, how we can hack the way that our brain creates habits to really instill these strong self-care habits that are going to help us to avoid burnout this year. Now let's talk about 10 self-care practices that take less than 10 minutes. So you can listen to this list and hopefully pick out a few things that you go, oh yeah, that sounds exciting. Or one.
Or a few sounds like too much. Pick one thing.
You're so right. See, that's my brain going like too big, too fast. All right. So what do we have here?
So the first one, these are nothing complicated. They're very simple, but they're awesome. Number one is just to go for a walk. We already talked about it in this episode.
Yes. And in past episodes, we talked about how when we get stuck in the habit loop of our thinking and we're feeling a big emotion, the best thing to do to get out of that is to change up your cues. So if you are in your classroom and you are stuck in a habit of thinking of stress, then moving into a new location is going to get your brain to notice different cues to start new habit loops. So just the act of getting out of your classroom and going for a walk is going to help you to shift how you feel.
It's a nice break in the day going for a walk, I find.
Agreed.
It's just a change of perspective. Mm-hmm. Very good. Number two, stretching. Just doing a few stretches.
Yeah. Moving your body. When we're stressed, we hold that tension in our muscles. We've all been there. So just taking a pause to stretch out the shoulders, roll your neck, roll your head around, release your shoulders, open up your chest muscles. It feels so good.
One pose that I love is ragdoll.
Yes, that one is so easy. You can do it anywhere, no matter what you're wearing too, for the most part. But you're just standing on your 2 feet with your feet about hip distance apart. And then you just hinge at your hips and let your torso relax. So kind of like gravity is pulling on the crown of your head. You can just let your arms release and kind of have your hands on the ground, or you can grab opposite elbows. And the trick here is to bend your knees so that your belly actually touches your thighs, so that you're not stretching too much in the backs of your legs, and you can kind of just getting upside down. I don't know what it is, but it resets you.
No, it energizes me so much.
Yeah.
So just doing that for a minute.
Yeah.
And it feels so good on the neck and the shoulders. We keep so much in there, so much stuff that we need to let go of.
Oh yeah, totally. Sometimes I'll even just do a shake. Just shake my body, just shake it all out, get rid of the tension.
Or even just yawn, when when you yawn and you stretch, just doing a few of those feels so good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so number 3, this was a fun one. Watching a funny YouTube video. And the ones I love there is dog videos or cat videos, basically any animal videos I'm in. It's so funny and relaxing.
So good. Yeah, it's a great way I really like watching funny YouTube videos when I'm kind of just in a blah mood, and it just gets me laughing, gets the good emotions flowing, and it's such an easy way to just kind of shift your emotional state.
This one's fun too, because I feel like if you're feeling like that while the students are in class, you can be like, okay, we're going to take a little break and just watch a 2-minute funny video and then go back to work.
The kids will love that too.
Yeah. Self-care for everyone, right? Exactly. Number 4, read a book just for fun. Something that we've started reincorporating into our lives because we only read nonfiction for how long? It's so fun to read fiction.
Yeah, I forgot how much I love just getting lost in a story. Because I've been on the nonfiction train where I'm basically studying whatever it is that I'm reading for so long. So getting back into getting lost in a story was just so nice.
Yeah, so fun. All right, and number 5 is making tea and enjoying it, which we already also talked about in this episode.
Yes, we can take it to the next level and make it and drink it mindfully. So kind of, as you're letting the water boil, notice the bubbles, notice the sounds, notice the steam. And then as you're pouring it into your cup, notice how the tea leaves look, notice the color changing of the water.
You're making me so thirsty right now.
We're going to have to make ourselves some tea.
We will, right after this episode. You know what we'll be doing.
Yep. And yeah, and then once you're drinking it, like just feeling the sensations, actually tasting it and taking a moment to let your mind focus on that and take a little break from focusing on all the other things.
So calming.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, and I'll let you get into that one because you're the specialist here. We're talking about essential oils, using them for self-care. We have 2 whole episodes on this. So which episodes is it again, Kaylee?
Yeah. So if you want to really learn about essential oils, kind of the Essential Oils 101.
The essential oils?
Yeah. That is episode 61. And then if you want to learn how to use essential oils for emotions, which is super interesting, that is episode number 62. So basically, essential oils smell good. They're good for your health. They're good for you. And the smelling of the essential oils really helps you to shift your emotional state. Like, I don't know about you, but when I smell citrus, it just immediately makes me feel good.
It is so nice.
Yeah. Or if I'm feeling stressed and I roll a little bit of peppermint essential oil on my shoulders, it just tingles and helps me to relax and really helps me to shift my emotional state.
What are other little ways, like 5 minutes or less ways to use essential oils? Like you just gave an awesome concrete example.
Another one I really like because it's so easy is you just put a drop of essential oil in the palm of your hands, kind of just rub your hands together and then cup your hands over your nose and take 3 to 5 deep breaths and just really appreciate the smell of the essential oils and notice how it makes you feel because each essential oil is going to make you feel differently. And just notice it's the effect that such a simple thing has on your body. You can feel your body relaxing. You can feel your body getting more energized or whatever type of essential oil you're using. So.
And another fun little thing to do is if you're using really high grade essential oils to just like put a drop in your water and then enjoy your water. Kind of like tea, right?
Yeah.
But just kind of something different.
Exactly. Just make sure that if you're ever ingesting your essential oils, that they are therapeutic and like edible grade essential oils. So with doTERRA essential oils, those are the ones that we recommend and what we use. And those ones or you have to make sure that you read the label because not all essential oils are supposed to be ingested, but things like lemon, and I really like putting lemon or any
mint,
citrus or mint. I really like peppermint in my water. Yeah, great ways to just have an uplifting little something nice. Self-care.
So nice.
Yeah.
Number 7, I like this because this is a you thing to say. A bath or a fancy shower. So this is a Kayleeism. So go ahead.
A fancy shower, like
not just your regular shower. Okay.
Like the shower where you put on a nice face mask first, or you put a drop of essential oil in your shampoo and it smells really good. Or I like to put a drop of essential oil just on the floor of the shower where the water isn't directly hitting it, and it just fills with the steam. It just fills the shower with essential oils, and it doesn't take extra time to do something like that, but it makes the shower that you were going to have anyway feel more special. Or using, buying yourself soap that you really love and smells good and makes you feel good. Just tiny little things that can help you, and remembering to appreciate them. That's the thing.
Yes.
A fancy shower could even be not doing anything different.
Fancy shower.
Hashtag fancy shower. It doesn't even have to be doing anything different. It can just be being mindful and appreciating your time alone under the water with no distractions and just this time for yourself.
Wonderful. Next one, number 8, taking 10 deep breaths.
You can do it anywhere.
Yes. And my favorite is putting one hand on my heart, one on my belly, and just closing my eyes, taking 10 deep breaths. Feels so good.
It does.
This whole episode is just relaxing me, just thinking about it, imagining it.
Next we have
repeating an affirmation 5 times. And the affirmation that came to mind for me was like just something like, when you inhale, you think in your head, I am calm. Exhale, I am balanced. Inhale, I am calm. Exhale, I am balanced. And just doing that a couple times.
That's really nice. I already feel calm.
Yeah, so helpful.
So nice. So just with affirmations, it's, positive statements of how you, that are in the present moment. So even if you don't already feel calm, you say it as though you do already feel calm. And as we learned, our thoughts create our emotions, and our emotions create our perspective, and that is our reality. So if we can think a thought on purpose that helps us to feel the way we want to feel, we're beginning to shift ourselves into that feeling. What's the last one?
When all else fails, I'm just kidding, because you can do this if it fails or not. Take a nap.
Yes.
Not like a super long nap, just like a short one, energizing one.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, that's not one for me because, man, I can't nap.
I'm not a napper, but I'll do a little meditation that's kind of like a nap. So like I'll lie down and I'll set my meditation alarm for something like 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm just relaxing with no agenda. I know that is nice. Yeah, I usually don't actually fall asleep, but if you can get to that state that's kind of in between awake and asleep, you kind of, once you get up, you feel more energized. And actually studies have shown that when people meditate, they actually feel more energized than when they take a nap. So something around just quiet time with your eyes closed.
I feel like it's just a great little pause on life. Oh, like I called it a half nap, like when you just have a shut eye for like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And then, feels good. Yeah. And then because, we can never stop at the number that we said we would. Well, we won't call it number 11, but another way that we can practice self-care is simply just by making otherwise boring tasks really fun. So, for example, like you have to do your dishes. So instead of just womp, 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 doing your dishes,
womp, womp, womp.
Put some music on, put it on loudly, buy some soap that smells good, and have fun. And Make it fun. Make it fun.
Dance while you wash your dishes.
Yeah, you can do that with anything. Like you're vacuuming, like dance while vacuuming.
Yeah. Because
everyone needs a little more dancing in their lives. Everybody does.
I like when I'm cleaning the house to like imagine that I'm in a movie and there's like a montage of like, like dancing around while I'm cleaning.
That is next level stuff.
It makes a boring task more fun.
This is crazy. This concludes our 5-part series, and I want to hear the recap. We've talked about a lot of things throughout these 5 weeks.
Yes. So we talked about habits, how they are created, because once we understand how habits work in our mind, we can start creating them on purpose. Then we talked in our second episode about thoughts. We talked about how thoughts create our emotions and how we can practice mindfulness to begin really noticing our thoughts, becoming aware of the thoughts that we're thinking so that we can become aware of how those thoughts make us feel and change them if we want. Then in our third episode, we talked about emotions. We talked about how emotions are created. They come from our thoughts, how they affect our perspective, and how we can use an action to change the way that we're feeling. Then we talked about perspective and how the way that we look at things, our beliefs about things, affect how we feel about them. And then, we used the habit loop to talk about how we can make habits of using new perspectives that make us feel better. And that brings us to this episode, which was self-care. So all of these things to create habits that are going to help us avoid burnout and have an awesome year.
All right. So your exit for today is to choose one of these 10 self-care ideas that we shared with you and do it for 1 to 10 minutes, whatever your brain will allow, every single day.
And make sure that you Refer back to the habit loop, the cue, craving, response, reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward. To help you to use the way that your brain already creates habits to your advantage so that this habit can really stick. So cue, make it obvious. The craving, make it attractive. The response, make it easy. And the reward, make it satisfying.
And let us know how it goes.
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
You can connect with us on Instagram at EduCalm. That's EduCalme.
Make sure to check back in next week, because next week we are going to be talking about how to instill habits in our students. So you've learned for 5 weeks how to create a habit for yourself. Now we're going to talk about how we can use this model to help our students to create good habits in our classroom that's going to make their lives easier and our lives easier.
Until then, have an awesome week.
Bye. Worry, stress, and anxiety are a reality in today's schools. When students are distracted, their brains aren't ready for learning. Getting them to calm down and focus can feel impossible. Don't feel helpless, frustrated, or overwhelmed any longer. Get EduCalm Classroom, our online mindfulness program that's transforming classrooms and improving student wellness and learning. With EduCalm Classroom, students and teachers learn concrete strategies and common vocabulary to manage emotions and behaviors. They both leave the classroom better equipped to overcome life's challenges. In your EduCalm Classroom membership, you'll get a full year of ready-to-use audio, video, and printable mindfulness lessons for the classroom, plus access to a caring and supportive community of like-minded teachers. Try EduCalm Classroom for free by going to www.educalm.com. EduCalm is spelled EduCalme. Thrive in a calm learning atmosphere.